Welcome back to Jeff Pratt Talks Hoops. Today we're doing something a little different. As you can see on my screen right now, we are reacting to a Bleacher Report article, NBA Chaos Makers, 5 trade ideas to blow up the 2023-24 season, written by Zach Buckley. I'm going to link to this article in the bio so you can check it out, give it a full read. We're in the middle of the NBA offseason. Things have died down a little bit, so it's full-on rumor and speculation season around the association. We're going to take a look at these proposed major blockbusters by Zach and determine if they are realistic in any possible form. So I have not scrolled through this at all. Honestly, just went on Bleacher Report, found the latest big trade idea article, and we're just going to go through it right now. So scrolling down, obviously see Joel Embiid and Jalen Brunson there. In the headliner, all right, trade 1 of 5. Warriors win Siakam sweepstakes. CP3 traded again, despite not having played for the Warriors yet. All right, let's see. Let's see what Zach's cooking up. The Golden State Warriors receive Pascal Siakam. The Toronto Raptors receive Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski. I butchered that, I'm certain. Sorry, Brandon. He's had a good summer league, though. And 2028 first-round pick. Top 7 protected. So, this is the issue with some of these Bleacher Report articles, which, by the way, Bleacher Report does a fantastic job with their NBA coverage. I mean, we're talking around the clock, rumors, speculation, etc. Their app is fantastic. So this is not a knock on the product or even Zach, the writer, by any means, because, this is legit stuff. That being said, proposing that a team's going to trade a player who they acquired this offseason without playing a second for their organization is crazy. That is crazy talk. There are so many reasons why that simply would not happen in today's NBA. And for the Golden State Warriors, yes, obviously an upgrade, right? If you can flip Chris Paul, Kuminga, Podziemski, and a 2028 first round pick into Pascal Siakam, that's solid. Now, obviously, the biggest thing about Siakam is, his contract's running out. And he has been pretty clear saying that he only wants to sign an extension and stay in Toronto. Now, whether he would soften that stance to go play with the likes of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, etc. in Golden State and for Steve Kerr is yet to be seen. I think it would be a fantastic fit from an on-court perspective, but is this realistic by any means? No, not whatsoever. Realistically, as of right now, the only team we've heard with concrete interest and that have explored actual trade negotiations about Siakam with the Raptors is the Atlanta Hawks. And I think that's a team that makes a lot of sense. We'll see if we see them later on in this article. This would definitely blow up the NBA if the Warriors were somehow able to flip Chris Paul into Pascal Siakam. Just doesn't feel realistic whatsoever. All right, let's scroll down here. There it is. The Atlanta Hawks find their star wing, and it's not Pascal Siakam, so Paul George. All right. Atlanta Hawks receive Paul George. Los Angeles Clippers receive DeAndre Hunter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Kobe Buffkin, and a 2024 first-round pick, lottery protected via the Sacramento Kings. This is interesting. I mean, this is a similar package to what we assume the Hawks would be offering for Pascal Siakam. Paul George is a bit older than Siakam, much more skilled, a legitimate wing, whereas Siakam is, as we know, more of a 4, can play a stretch 5 at times, but a little skinny, slight of frame, and small. He's not as big as a lot of today's centers. I think this is pretty solid for the Clippers in terms of what they could get for Paul George right now. What is he, 31, 32 years old, on a big deal, cannot stay healthy, at least has shown, hasn't been able to show that he can stay healthy throughout the past few years, both him and Kawhi Leonard. Now, we've heard that the Clippers have at least considered trading Paul George. We don't know the specifics there of, hey, are they actively shopping him, or is this, if a couple of teams have called, are they willing to listen on Paul George? Those specifics are yet to be seen. I could see a path where they move on from Paul George just because they're in such a tight financial situation and they haven't even come close to the outcomes of the last few seasons that they've committed so much money into their squads. They haven't even come close to the NBA Finals. And a lot of that has been horrible luck on the injury front. Most of it has. You can chalk up 95% of their failures to a lack of continuity and chemistry being able to be built because their guys are hurt all the time. So if they are open to moving Paul George, you're getting a young, solid wing, locked up long-term in DeAndre Hunter. Bogdan Bogdanovic is a guy who does something very similar to what Norman Powell does for them right now. I think he could fill a similar role coming off the bench or starting and just going in and getting buckets. That's what Bogdanovic does. He's a score-first player, and he's very good in that role. Kobe Buffkin is a fine addition and a protected lottery first. Do I think it's realistic? Not really. Feels like the Clippers are going to give this group at least one more year to try to figure it out. Whether that's a smart idea, I'm not sure, but I would say that's realistic to expect them to keep Kawhi and PG together for another season. All right. Next one. Trade idea 3, a Salt Lake City surprise. Damian Lillard. Okay, this is fun. Sure. Utah Jazz receive Damian Lillard. The Trailblazers receive a haul. Colin Sexton, Keontae George, Talen Horton Tucker, THT, Kelly Olynyk, 2025 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick. My gut instinct right off the bat is that Portland would be asking for a little bit more, considering the draft capital that Utah possesses. Keontae George, you're getting a first-rounder there, so you really can count it as 3 first-round picks, along with Colin Sexton, THT, and Kelly Olynyk for salary matching purposes. If I'm the Blazers, if I'm Joe Cronin, I'm asking for at least one more unprotected first, or at least a very lightly protected first-round pick, but this could be close to the ultimate package if Miami decides to move, if Portland decides to move off of Miami as the only destination for Dame, which as of right now, we've heard that those are really the only two teams negotiating for Dame right now, Portland and Miami. I will say, if there's one GM out there in this league that would risk trading for a star in Damian Lillard, knowing everything that he's come out and said, everything that more importantly his agent has come out and said, which is he only wants to be in Miami. He's going to be really unhappy. He might not even report if he doesn't go to Miami. The one GM who would look at that and say, I don't care, go to hell, is Danny Ainge. He has proven that in the past, pulling trades for blockbusters, Kevin Garnett, Kyrie Irving. Doesn't matter. If Danny Ainge sees talent and sees a direct, easy way to upgrade his team, he's going to do it. So I could genuinely see Utah offering a package like this. Now, whether Portland accepts it is a completely different story. So realistic that Danny Ainge would throw together this type of package. Keontae George, by the way, is going to be a fantastic player. I think that would be a sneaky great get, and probably the headliner of this package in reality for Portland, but I think they would ask for more. All right. Moving on to the next one. Pistons make a Zion-size splash. All right. Detroit Pistons receive Zion Williamson and Kira Lewis Jr. New Orleans Pelicans receive Bojan Bogdanovic, James Wiseman, Killian Hayes, 2026 first-round pick, top 3 protected, and 2028 first-round pick. Not even close to the value that New Orleans would need to be, not even close to the value that Detroit would need to be giving up to land Zion Williamson. Because I know he's had his fair share of on- and off-court concerns. We all know what happened this offseason off the floor for Zion, but on the floor, it's about him staying there, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout his young NBA career. When he does play, he's a monster, ultra efficient. Not many guys in the league can guard him. That list of guys who can really contain him is probably 5 or fewer, just off the top of my head. An unstoppable force down low, and we know what Zion is when he's at his best. He's a game wrecker. The question is, can he actually stay healthy for the entirety of an NBA season? He hasn't shown that yet. But that said, where his value is at right now, Detroit would still have to give up much more to land him here. I understand James Wiseman is a former, second overall pick for the Warriors. They're getting 2 first-round picks here. Bojan Bogdanovic is solid, 20-point per game scorer, getting up there, 34 or 35 years old at this point. But the Pistons would have to be tossing in, 2 more first round picks, maybe even 2 unprotected first round picks and another pick swap or something like that. Because Zion Williamson is still very young, still incredibly talented, and when he gets on the floor, he is top 10 in terms of being a matchup nightmare for opposing teams. So the Pistons, this is a non-starter if I'm New Orleans, and this is the offer that is brought to me. Unless the Pelicans are truly at the stage where they just need to get rid of Zion, they feel like he's a distraction, and it doesn't seem like we're even close to that yet. So this is not a realistic return, in my opinion. The last one, the Buckers make their blockbuster. Before we get into the package here, right off the bat, I love the concept of the Sixers trading Joel Embiid. We're seeing teams over the past few years really hurt themselves by holding on to stars with a shrinking shelf life in the NBA of elite play for too long. And we saw that with Damian Lillard. I mean, the Trailblazers just signed him to a massive extension. Makes sense for the franchise if you're planning on keeping him around. But now that he wants out, this is a guy whose trade value would have been much, much higher even 1 year ago, 2 years ago, if they had been willing to move on from him. Whereas Joel Embiid, coming off an MVP season, whether that's deserved or not, is another story in terms of him actually winning the award. But his value right now is at an all-time high. I don't see how Joel Embiid's value, no matter what he does on the floor this season, unless he goes out there and averages, 40, 15 and shoots 42% from three, something unrealistic. What we saw from Embiid last year is the ceiling of what he can do from an individual production standpoint, which is why I believe the Sixers have seen now what their roster looks like and what their team looks like when Embiid is playing at his best, and you've got other capable players around him, and it's just not enough. For whatever reason, it is not enough. The process has failed, which is tough to say for Sixers fans, and I'm sure it's tough for them to swallow because it's not over yet, and they feel like they've come so close. But the matter of fact is, Joel Embiid is 29, 30 years old? I think 28 or 29. And he has not made the Eastern Conference Finals yet. He's been playing at an incredible level. The Sixers have had tons of solid teams around him, especially that Jimmy Butler team where they lost to the Kawhi Dagger. That's a team that, if that shot didn't fall, there's a decent chance the Sixers are winning it all that year. They haven't come close to putting together a squad like that since that season. Hasn't been good enough. So if I were Daryl Morey, I would say, all right, I'm going to put the James Harden trade talks to the side right now, and I'm going to shop my superstar and see what I could get. And here we've got the hypothetical return package for the Knicks for the Sixers coming from the Knicks, which is RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, 2024 first round pick, 2024 first round pick, top 12 protected via Washington, 2025 top 4 protected first round pick, and 2026 first round pick. This is the type of return I'm talking about. They get a young, solid, rising star wing in RJ Barrett, depending how you view him. Mitchell Robinson, when he's healthy, one of the best defensive centers in the league. Emmanuel Quickley, fantastic player. Quentin Grimes, fantastic player. And 1, 2, 3, 4 first round picks. Some of them are protected. This is the type of package the Sixers could actually ask for right now, with Embiid coming off an MVP season, still below 30 and locked up long-term, relatively long-term. So why would you not at least explore getting something like that back when you know you've got, 1 or 2 years left of Embiid playing at this level before at some point, inevitably, his legs give out on him, because that's just what happens to 7-foot-plus players who are so ball dominant and have this high of a usage rate, especially while being this heavy. We've seen bigger players with skinnier, slighter, wiry frames do better with their longevity, but Embiid is a huge guy. We're talking 7'1", 7', 7'1", 290, 275, whatever he's listed at. It's a lot of weight to be carrying around. There's a reason the guy has not had good knees or good ankles or good feet throughout the entirety of his career, and that's just not going to get better. So you have his value at an all-time high. I would be shopping around and seeing if I could kickstart a retool. You're not even necessarily entering a full rebuild here with this package you're getting back here. Those are a lot of good players. This is kicking off a retool. And then if you want to, you can move all those first round picks for another player in a James Harden deal and figure that out later. But I really like this idea for the Sixers. I know Philly fans won't love the concept of trading their superstar, especially since Embiid has been so loyal to the franchise. But his shelf life is running out, and this is an opportunity for Daryl Morey to capitalize on his value. So I love this trade. This is my favorite of the bunch by far from Zach. So this has been fun. This article, again, I will link this, or I'll drop the link in the bio for this article written by Zach Buckley. He did a great job. Stay tuned for my next video over the next couple of days. I'm going to be doing part 2 of my ranking the top 10 players at each position heading into the 2023 season. Next up, shooting guards.